All right, welcome everybody to the December Florida Tug. It's the last one of the year. We've got Andy Kriebel on with us today, so stay tuned. Some ways to connect with us, whether you're here live or you're watching this after the fact. If you're here live, please put in any information you want to connect with us in the chat. Otherwise, if you're seeing this recorded later, feel free to join our group. Contact us any way that you can, any way that you want. If we can be of any help, please let us know. So today we have Andy Kriebel, so stay tuned for that. Um, Myself and Yamil that runs the Florida Tug. I work at Ariat, which is a Western apparel company based in California. Yamil works for Seek Data. He's a two-time ambassador. I think he got reelected this year for that as well. So congrats to him on that.
Are you, Aaron? Are you able to mute everybody? Because there's somebody that didn't put themselves on mute that's talking in the background, so obviously not paying attention.
Okay, I will do that. I assumed it was maybe someone on here. Okay, I think we're good now.
There we go. Thanks.
All right. Our promise, again, networking here, networking between meetings. We've had monthly speakers for over 3 years now. I'd imagine that will continue into next year. And we also like to promote any job opportunities. So if you have anything in the Florida area, so this is the Florida user group, please, share it with us there on the LinkedIn group. We used to be the Orlando Tableau user group. We expanded over COVID to do the entire state, but we have people chime in here from other parts of the country. So if you have other job opportunities that are not based in Florida, that's absolutely fine. If you email us on the previous slide, we will have no problem adding it to our slides and promoting that during our presentation. We always give away swag. So always have 4 winners. You have to stay to the end to be eligible. You can't just come in and leave and then be eligible. So stay to the end, and I'll draw that after the meeting, but just stay tuned for that. Upcoming speakers, we'll announce that once that has been finalized for next year, but this is the last one for this year. Today's speaker, Andy Kriebel. Everyone knows Andy, member of the Hall of Fame, started using Tableau in 2007. Former global head coach at the Information Lab, founder of the Next Level Tableau, all known for numerous community projects, a couple of websites there of Andy's. Feel free to connect to him however you can. Andy, it's all yours.
Great. Well, thanks for having me, and I appreciate the invitation. And hopefully everybody likes my alien glow as well. I'm not actually green; I just have a green background. So let me go ahead and share my screen. That is this screen. Okay, so let me move you all over here to the side. And so if I'm looking to the right, that means I'm looking at your comments. So feel free to kind of comment along the way if you have any questions or comments or anything like that. So today, I'm going to actually take you through dynamic zone visibility. That was the request from Aaron. I think that was your request, or did I make the? I don't remember. Anyway, so what we're going to do in this session is I'm going to introduce you to what it is, go through how it's used, what are kind of the steps you need to take in order to set it up, and then I'm actually going to build 2 examples for you live that you should be able to replicate just by following along with this video later on. So first, I do want to talk. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this or not, Aaron, but I'm going to do it anyway. So since I left the Information Lab a couple of weeks ago and have now started my own business, my own training company, and it's open to both companies and individuals. So if you are an individual and want to join, this is some of the benefits you get on the right-hand side. So 175 hours of training with me, and that includes 100 that should be 120 training sessions, 10 virtual workshops. So those are ones I do for the public, but you get those for free. Weekly office hours where you can submit questions. And then on top of all the live training, there's also on-demand training for, there's over 130 tutorials right now. I'll be creating new tutorials every week, and then also creating courses as well. So it's going to be probably the most comprehensive Tableau training platform available to you. If you're interested, Okay, so this is some more information about what's in it for you. So obviously expert-led training. I led the data school for 8.5 years. We've got, I don't know, like 8 or 10 Tableau visionaries. So the proof is in the pudding. We'll also do some hands-on application of the activity. It'll be interactive as far as live classes. Everything's recorded, so if, nobody can make every session. But also, there's going to be a Slack community so that people can do things like Aaron mentioned. For this community, you can post jobs, ask questions, whatever you want to do. As far as things you can expect, this is just a short list of the things. So improve your data viz skills, your analysis skills, problem solving, should advance your career. I'd be surprised if it didn't. Your confidence, and so on. So if you are interested in joining the waitlist, so the waitlist is open. You can just go to apply.andykriebel.com. It repeats some of that same information I just showed you on the last couple slides, but if you fill out the application, then you can join the waiting list. And if you want, when you fill that out, if you, I don't get them to right away. I usually review them in batches, but feel free to ping me on LinkedIn and say, hey, I was on the Florida Tug. I joined the waiting list. Can you give me more information? So take a look at that. If you have any questions, I'm super excited to basically take everything I've learned over the last 13 years, everything I've created at the data school, and bringing it to the masses. So I want to be able to help as many people as possible. With that said, we're not actually here for that. But why are we here in this session today? So we're going to cover 3 things: what dynamic zone visibility is, when you should use it, and then a couple of examples of how you use it. The examples we're going to go through, this is one of them. This is a 4-level drill down. Actually, we're not going to build this one because it would take too long. But this is one of the options you can do here. But dynamic zone visibility is basically a way for you to tell Tableau what it should show and hide in a dashboard. So you might have a container or a text object or one specific chart. Really anything that's in a dashboard you can control with dynamic zone visibility. It's this new little toggle. If you've never used it, I'll be showing it to you. But basically, you could tell Tableau to show or hide things based on certain conditions. Now, some of the rules with dynamic zone visibility is the calculations have to be a Boolean, and I'll show you that in a minute. Maybe I'll show you how it doesn't work when we go through it, because I'll create a Boolean calculation, but it won't work. You might be a bit confused about why it doesn't work. So you have to basically create a parameter or filters or actions to make it work. We're going to go through an example. So here are the requirements. Your field or your parameter must be a Boolean. For us, we're not going to make our parameters a Boolean. We're just going to make them a string. I just find that a bit easier in my head to process. It can only have a single value, and that makes sense because parameters can only have a single value. This does not work with sets. It only works with parameters. And the calculations must be independent of what's in the visualization. And I'll explain all that as we go along the way, but just some basic rules for what you need to do there. So in a dashboard, you're typically going to use a dashboard action as well to update the parameter to tell Tableau, well, now go ahead and hide this thing and show this thing. That's going to be the main use case that you'll go through. And again, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to pop them in the chat, and I'll occasionally look over. Or Aaron, if there's a question you think I should answer along the way, please feel free to just interrupt and speak up.
Yep,
I have no problem with that at all. So the first example we're going to go through is just a simple drill down, just 2 levels. I'm not going to get into anything 3, 4 levels because that takes way too long to demo. Very simple here. So this is 2 sheets. One sheet is profit by state, and the second sheet is profit and sales by zip code. And what you want to be able to set up here is you want to be able to click on a state and drill down to a zip code. So very straightforward, very common use case for just drill down capabilities in general. Now, you could have done this before with a couple of sheets and then some hiding the titles and all these different things that were a bit more complicated, but dynamic zone visibility has made this significantly easier, in my opinion. And in this slide, I've got everything. We can share this later on, Aaron, with anybody that is interested. Actually, I can pop that in the chat. Why don't I do that now? public preview. Let me copy the link. I'll actually post the link in the chat for anybody that wants the slides. And now I am off the hook for that. Okay, present. There we go. Yeah, sheet swapping. Yeah, thank you, Aaron. I couldn't think of the name for that. But this presentation that I just put the link in has all of the steps you need to build this. So you'll see the screenshots, all of that kind of stuff. So the first thing we're going to do, so let me go back to the example again. We need to basically build two sheets. One is profit by state, and the other one is profit by zip code. So let's start by building the profit by state sheet. And actually, I have another Tableau workbook here. Yeah, so this is how it kind of works as I'm going through. So Wyoming only has one. Here's Tennessee, Pennsylvania, so on. So that's what we're going to build, something like that. Okay, so first thing we want to do is build our profit by state sheet. So the way that I do it is I just double click on state. This is like one of the biggest game changers for Tableau. I think that differentiates it from other products is how easy it is to create maps. Now, I didn't get a map because my default country is set up to the UK. So there's a couple ways I could get around that. I could change my location, but we do have a country field. So I'm just going to drag that to detail, and then Tableau will pick them up automatically. But I don't want to keep Canada. Sorry, Canadian friends. We're going to exclude you. So I'm going to just keep only the United States. And I'm going to drag profit to the color. So now we get our profit by state. And I like a nice clean look. Let me go here. You see I've got a nice clean look here, nothing really in the background. So a lot of times what people do is they'll do the background layers, and they'll come over here and they'll just start unchecking things. And how many of you have done that, where you just start unchecking things and you hope you get it right? So you get here and you get rid of everything, but yet sometimes it's not quite there. So what I do instead is I don't actually uncheck any of those things. What I do is I just drag. So if I go back, let me go back and put all of that garbage back on. There we go. What I do actually is I go up here to the, I think this is how I do that. Oh, I can't remember the shortcut now. There we go. Hopefully you can see. Did you see that zoom in there? I think you should have.
Yeah,
so,
it's zoomed in.
Okay, great. So what I do is I just take this washout option and just drag it over to 100%, and that gets rid of everything in the background. So it doesn't matter what you have checked on the left-hand side. Tableau just gets rid of it. So that's the quickest way I know to get rid of the background. Okay. While we're here, let's do a bit of cleanup on the tooltips. I don't need the country, so I'm going to uncheck include in tooltip on that. And now I think my tooltips are just fine here. All right, so let's call this one profit by state. Great. Now we need to create our profit by zip code sheet. So I'm going to duplicate this sheet, and I'm going to take my postal code and I'm going to drag that on as a mark layer. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because I still want my states in the background so I can see borders of the states, because I told Tableau to get rid of all of the background stuff. If I remove the states, then all I'll see is a bunch of dots in the visualization. So I'm going to do a mark layer. So I'm going to drag postal code on there, and notice I get 631, oops, let me see. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, shoot. I'm messed up here. Oh, well, I can't remember how to. I just completely forgot how to do my zoom on the Mac. Isn't it Shift Command 8? Oh, well, anyway. But I have 631 unknown at the bottom. That's because I only have postal code on my level of detail on the marks card. So first off, I'm going to change the mark type from automatic to a circle to make sure Tableau gives me a circle. And I'm going to drag country onto detail. I'm going to drag state onto detail. And there we go. So now I've got my dots. Now on my states, I just want the states to have a background. So I'm going to actually take profit. I'm just going to move that to detail, and I'll drag sales onto detail as well. So that's going to give me those as a background. And I'm going to change the mark type from automatic to a map. Okay, so now I've got my states. When I hover over, I can see my profit and sales by state. Let's go ahead and get rid of the opacity on all of those. And then let's give ourselves like a light gray border. All right, so now we've got this nice background on our map. So that's a really neat way. Option plus command plus equals option command equals. Oh, that wasn't. Anyway, okay, there's a different one I was thinking of, email, but thanks, that works as well. Okay, so, but now I need to go back to my postal code, and I want to put profit on color, and I want to put sales on size. Okay, so we got something like that. Let's make the marks, let's make the circles bigger. That's probably a bit too big. I'm got a bit aggressive there. And I'm going on my color shelf. I'm going to reduce the opacity. Doesn't really, I'm just going to set it down a bit, and maybe I'll give them like light colored borders so they pop out a bit more from each other. Okay, so something like that. So we have our two maps, and when we hover over a postal code, everything looks okay there. We've got the postal code, the state, profit, and sales. All right, so we are good to go for our two maps. So this one, let's call this sales and profit by state. Okay, so we've got our two maps built. So that's that one, and that's that one. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a parameter that's going to hold the value of the state that is selected. So if I go back over to Tableau, I'm going to create a parameter, and I'm going to call it state parameter. I always leave the name parameter in there, or leave the word parameter in the name so that I know it's a parameter. My data type right now is a string. I'm just going to set it to blank, and that's it. That's the only neat thing I need to do to configure the parameter. Okay, so let's click on OK. All done there. And now what we want to do is we want to create a calculation called blank. Now this blank calculation is going to help us reset or it's going to help get us from the zip code view back up to the state level view. And I'll show you how that works in a minute. So let's create another calculated field. Let's call this blank, and we'll just put quote, quote. It's not even really blank, but an empty string. So click on OK. And then we want to put that onto, let's just go to the postal code on the marks card, and we need to put the blank onto detail. But when we hover over our marks now, we can see blank is in the tooltip, which we don't want. Now, a lot of times people will go into tooltip and they'll just, kind of manually delete it out. And that works, right? That's okay. But now let's say I want to put discount onto the tooltip as well. It's no longer there. That's because as soon as you manually change your tooltip, anything new that you add to the tooltip, you would have to add manually. So let me go back. And the way that I get around that is before I do any kind of customization of my tooltips, I go on to all of the fields in the view that I don't want in the tooltip. So for example, I don't want blank in the tooltip. And I click on the little caret and I uncheck this include in, there we go. Oh, it's command option 8. There we go. I uncheck this option called include in tooltip. And now that's gone. And so really, really big time saver there. Go through, when you're cleaning up your tooltips, go through and just uncheck that include in tooltip for things that you don't want in there, and then go in at the end and customize your how you want your tooltip to look. It'll save you a lot of time. So for example, what I would do now is I can go into my tooltip, I can put my state on the first line, and then let's say that I want to put the postal code up here, right? And then, so now I've customized my tooltip, and it looks okay, right? So here we have the state of Nevada, that's fine, etc. So anyway, that's the process I would go through to clean up the tooltips. Okay, so we've got our parameter, and we have our blank. Sorry, that's a bit blurry there. And we added the blank to the zip code map, so we're good to go there. And now we want to create two calculations, one to show the states and one to show the zip codes. So this is where you have to, well, let me show you how it doesn't work. So let me create a calculated field. I'm going to call this one show states. And for here, I want to say my parameter, so that's my state parameter, I want that to be equal to blank. So that's going to be the blank field from what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Tableau when they click on a when they click on a zip code, set the parameter to blank, and then this show states would say, okay, I'm blank, so that returns a true. Clicking OK. And now I want to create another calculated field. Let's call this one show zip codes. And here, what I am usually tempted to do is I would say something like my state parameter. Is that equal to one of my states? Right? That would seem to make sense, right? And that returns a true or a false. But I'll show you why that doesn't work. I don't know why it doesn't work because it returns a true false, but it doesn't work. So let's click on OK. And actually, no, I do think I know why it doesn't work. So let's leave it like that for now. So we've got our calculations created. We'll come back and fix this one. And now we want to throw our dashboard together. So we're going to use one container and put both things inside of a container. So I'm not going to worry about customizing my containers or anything like that. I'm just going to do it quickly. So drag in a vertical container, and then we want to just drag both sheets into the view. Oops, yeah, okay. I put them left to right instead of top to bottom. Doesn't really matter. And then I'm just going to delete this on the right-hand side. Great. So now, if I click on my profit by state sheet, and I go over here, let's go over here to the layout tab. You'll see you have this option called control visibility using. So if I check that box, I can choose show states. Okay, so that's great. So that tells me this is the calculation that said, let me go back here. Let me go. Okay, so this is the calculation here that says state parameter equals blank. So we know that one's good. Now, if we go to sales and profit by state, we check control visibility using, and now I don't see the option of show zip codes. Now, the reason for that is because the state field is already in the view. So if you remember back to our rules, let me go back here to our rules. The field has to be independent of the view. So state is in my view, therefore I can't use it in the dynamic zone visibility. So what I need to do is, let me go back over to Tableau. I need to edit my show zip codes calculation. And I could just change this to say it is not equal to blank. All right, so I'm not calling the blank field. I'm just saying it's not the parameter itself. It has some value in it. It might be California, Texas, Pennsylvania, Idaho, doesn't matter. It has some value in it. Click on OK. And if I go to the dashboard, now I can choose show zip codes. Okay, great. And you'll see that went away. That's because, let me show you my parameter here. This might be a good way to show you how it's working. So here's my parameter. You see my state parameter is blank. Therefore, it's not showing the zip codes. Okay, so from there, so we've created the blank. We've created our dashboard. We set up our visibility. Wow, this is really blurry. Sorry about that. And now we just need to set up two different parameter actions, one for when they are on the state map and one for when they are on the zip code map. And those are going to update my state parameter. Okay, so let's go up to dashboard at the top and then actions. We're going to add a change parameter action, and I'm going to call this update state parameter. I almost always give it the name of the parameter that the action I'm doing and the parameter I'm updating and the parameter I'm affecting. So updating the state parameter. And I'm going to say from states, something like that. So I only want it to go with from the profit by state sheet. I want to target the state parameter, and the source field. I want to pass to that parameter the state that they click on. All right, and we don't really need to worry about anything on the right-hand side here, but I'll change it to set value to blank anyway, just in case. So click on OK. And now we need to add a second change parameter action, and this is going to be for when they click on a zip code. So I'll call this again update state parameter, and I'll say from zip. And now I'm going to choose the second sheet, sales and profit by state. Again, I'm going to update the state parameter. And this time I'm going to pass to it that blank field that we created. And I could choose set value to blank. It doesn't matter. This parameter action is always going to set the field to an empty string or a blank. So click on OK and click on OK again. And now when I click on New York, you can see my parameter on the upper right updates to New York. And we can now see zip codes, but it didn't filter to New York. Okay, so let's click on a zip code. We get back to the states. Well, what if we click on Florida? All right, it still didn't filter down to Florida. So we've got the dynamic zone visibility working as far as it drilling down from state to zip code. Hi, Maggie. The dog is saying, you want to say hi? Oh, there we go. This is Maggie. You can't see her, but okay, get down. She was at daycare today. All right. So again, we need to be able to filter this zip code map by the state that we click on. Okay. So to do that, we need to basically, let me go ahead and get rid of my parameter here. We need to create a, so I tested it, didn't quite work. So I need to filter the state based on the value that's in the parameter. Okay. So let's go back over to our sales and profit by state. We're going to create a new calculated field. Let's call this my state filter. And I want to filter down to when my state parameter is equal to the state that is inside of it. So I click on OK. Let's drag that to the filters. And if it says true, check that option. Otherwise, choose false and then exclude. Same thing. Click on OK. All right. And this went blank because my parameter is blank. So if I go back to my dashboard and now I click on Texas, you'll see it filtered down to just Texas. Click one of the postcodes and I get back to the whole US. Click on Nebraska. Tableau doesn't like cities in Nebraska. There's only 2 of them apparently, and so on. So now this is working exactly as we would expect. So, yeah, any questions on that for the moment? So Jacob has a question. Is there any way to use dynamic zone using floating containers? I think so. Let's see. So I could probably even just make this a floating sheet. So let me make this floating. Actually, so my zip code one is now floating. I can still choose control visibility using, click on Washington, and I still get it up there. So yes, you can use floating.
We had another question from Linda asking about if the dynamic zone visibility can break your tooltips.
Can it break your tooltips? I don't quite understand the question.
When hovering over on the value on my region map, the tooltip works, but once I hover over any other area around my region, it shows other information in my tooltip.
Okay, so I've clicked on a state, and then does she mean it's showing this for the state?
I'm not real sure. If Linda wants to clarify,
okay.
she can go ahead and type that in.
Okay, when hovering over the value on my region map, the tooltip works, but once I hover over any other area around my region, it shows other information in my tooltip. That sounds like a very specific case to a project that you're working on, so it's going to be a bit tough for me to...
It could be you had 2 maps, and you had the postal code and the state, and when you hovered on just the state, it showed something, and then when you hover on the circle, it shows something different.
Yeah. So like here, so when I hover over a postal code, I see the state and the postal code and profit and sales. When I hover over a state, I just see the name of the state and profit and sales. So I'm controlling those independently because of map layers. Okay. Okay. So Nasir, I've noticed perhaps a bug. If you use dynamic zone visibility with a map and then add another sheet chart outside of that container, when you click on this chart, it basically breaks the map. Well, I just showed that that's not the case. So you can filter. I had one sheet floating and one sheet tiled, and that seemed to work okay. So I don't think that's a problem. All right. Can you add a bar chart within this dashboard? Can you add a bar chart within this dashboard? It breaks the dynamic zone visibility. I don't think it will break the dynamic zone visibility. So if I add a bar chart, let's just say, I don't know, category and, I don't know, profit, whatever. And if I put this into the dashboard, something like that, then that sheet's always going to be there. So that does not break my dynamic zone visibility.
Someone was also wondering if you could clarify when clicking on a zip code, why it resets the map.
Because I told Tableau to do that. So because I wanted to go back to the state level. So in my dashboard actions, I have an action that is that updates so this sheet here is the one that has the zip code, and I'm telling Tableau, update the state parameter with my blank, and my blank field then uses my my show state calculation. So when it's blank, then I'm going to show the states. So I think that does it. Okay, so Nasir, can you click on a bar? Does not break. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there.
What if you had that as a dashboard action where it filtered the map?
Have this as a dashboard action, right? So use as filter. Okay.
Seems to
So
work.
if I click on that, it comes back to the way it was. So
Last question I see there is asking if a text table drill down is a good use for this, drilling down into financial statements.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it breaks my heart to think that you're creating a text table, but because all they're going to do is just export it to Excel, right, Sharon? So just give it to them in Excel in the first place, and then it just saves you some work.
As long as it's not a pie chart.
What's that?
As long as it's not a pie chart.
Okay, so that is the first example there. It's not me, it's my client. Well, tell your client no. Easy for me to say, I know. All right, so that is the first example, and it looks like there are no more questions on that. Okay, so let me show you the second example again. Let me just remind you what that's going to do. So this one's pretty neat. So this is again, we used to do sheet swapping with this. I want to be able to click on one of these buttons at the top, and it's going to swap out the chart and the measures that I'm using. All right, so again, it's going to be very, very similar process. So if I go back over to the, oops, didn't want to do that. Let's see. So, right. So we're going to build several sheets. We're going to start with our sales by month and then our profit by month. So let's just do these one at a time. So create a new sheet. We want to do sales by month. So I'm going to right click and drag order date to the columns and choose continuous months and sales. All right. And let's just call this sales by month. And now we want to do, I think, profit. Is it profit by month? I think was the next one. Profit by month. So we can put profit on rows and then month on order, month here. And I'm going to make this bars. And I'm going to put profit on color just to accentuate it a bit more. I think that's what we're looking for there. Yep. And then we want to look at sales and profit by subcategory. So let's call this one profit by month. All right, and then this one is going to be sales and profit by subcategory. Right, so subcategory on the rows, sales on the columns, sort, and then let's put profit onto color. All right, so we got that. And then our next sheet, our last sheet, is our average discount by state. So one more sheet. And I'm going to first filter out Canada. Sorry, Canadian friends. Country on detail, state on detail. And we want to put average discount. So I'm pretty sure my default for discount is average, but I'll drop that onto color, pick average, and there we go. And again, I'll do that formatting like I did before. I'm going to choose background layers and just drag my washout to 100%. There we go. All right, so that's it. So those are our three charts. And then we've got one more we need to create, which is the buttons. So what I want to do here is, so let's call this average discount by state. And now we want to create our buttons. So I'll just name the sheet buttons. And what I want to do here is I want to put, I need to build I need to somehow get measure names and measure values into the view. So I'm just going to drag sales onto text, and I want profit on top of those. So you can see I'm dropping it here where it says show me. So that brings in measure names and measure values, which I like, and then average discount. Okay. So now I'm going to take this measure values that's on the text shelf and move that to detail. So I just get ABCs here. And I'm going to move, if I move measure name to text, it's just going to overlap them, which I don't really want. So what I want to do here is I want to put measure names on text and on the columns. So I get something like that. I'm going to change my mark type to a shape. And in my shapes folder, I'm going to choose, or sorry, on my shapes shelf, I have trouble saying that. I choose more shapes, and then I've downloaded shapes. I think I got these from the Flairledge twins or from Ryan Sleeper, but there's one called, I've got one called Cats, which is like cat emojis. I like that one. And I have another one here somewhere. Where is it? Now, of course, I can't find it. Buttons. And I'm just going to use just a regular button, just like an oval. All right. And I need to now make those bigger. Let me just make the whole view a bit bigger. So, all right. We know we're eventually going to want it to be the entire width, so let's just do that. I'm going to stick my labels in the middle and allow overlap. Okay. And now I don't want to see any tooltip in here. So I'm going to go to my tooltip shelf and uncheck show tooltips. So these measures, these measures are only in the view so that I can use measure names in the, I can get the names of the measures. Okay, so let's make these buttons a bit bigger, something like that. I could color code them. Let's maybe make them gray. That didn't work, did it? Okay, yeah, so here's why it didn't work, because there's, this has a transparent background. So when you have a shape with a transparent background, you can't color something that's transparent. So I'm going to create a new calculated field. I'll call this my button color, and I'll just put the word button in there. And if I now drag that to the color shelf, now I can change the color that I want to use. So let's edit our color. Let's go with, let's see. Let's choose maybe, let's see. You guys are in Florida, so I'll make sure I pick maybe the Braves. Oh, the Eagles. Yeah, let's go with the Eagles, even though they got destroyed by the 49ers the other day. Okay, and then we can hide our header for our measure names, format our view, and get rid of those row dividers. All right, so this looks good now. We can come back later and adjust the size of the buttons, because inevitably when you put this in a dashboard, everything resizes. So I just get everything set up, put it in the dashboard, and then I come back and adjust the sizes. Okay, so those are my buttons. So we've done that. And now we want to throw together a dashboard. All right, so let's create a new dashboard. And I'm going to bring in a vertical container. I'm going to start by bringing in my buttons sheet into that container. And then I want to have another container. Oh no, not yet. I want to have my sales by month. And then underneath of that, I want to have my profit by month and sales and profit by subcategory next to each other. So I'm going to drag in a horizontal container inside of that vertical container, and then drag in these two sheets inside of that container. And then lastly, my average discount by state, I just want that going into this outer container. You see, it gets very difficult to drop it in there. It's almost impossible, actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just drop it between them. It doesn't really matter where it goes, because we're going to use dynamic zone visibility to show and hide them anyway. Okay, so we've got that. I now have my all my junk on the right-hand side here, so I don't need any of that. So I'm going to delete that. And let me hide the title for my buttons, and I'll pin the size of that because I don't want that adjusting at all. And now let's go ahead and play around with the sizes a bit and see if we can get them the way we want. Yeah, something like that. Okay. So that gets us kind of the general everything onto the dashboard. And now that that's done, we need to go ahead and create a parameter that's going to capture the name of our measure. So let's go back over to one of the sheets. It doesn't matter which one. And we want to create a new parameter. And I'm going to call this my measure. Let's call my measure name parameter. I'm going to make it a string. And for now, I'm not going to pass any value to it, and click on OK. All right. So now that we have that, our next step then is to create the Our next step is to create the 3 calculations we need to show and hide the sheets. So show sales, show profit, and show discount. So we're going to create a new calculated field, show sales. And so we want to show the sales when the measure names equals sales. Click on OK. Second calculation is show profit. And this is my measure name parameter equals to profit. And then one more. Oh, not parameter. Let's create another calculated field. Let's call this one show discount. And my measure name parameter is going to be equal to discount. All right, click on OK. And now we're good to go. So those fields are independent of the view because they do not refer to any fields that are in the view. So again, that's one of the requirements for dynamic zone visibility. So let's go back to our dashboard. And let's click on the sales by month sheet. Go to our layout tab. Choose control visibility using. Come on. And we want to control it using show sales. All right, great. Now let's go to our maybe average discount by state. Control visibility using show discount. And then lastly, let me zoom back out here. We don't want to hide each of these sheets individually. We want to hide the container these sheets are in. So I'm just going to pick one of the sheets and then double click the header to select the container. And now I can control the visibility of that entire container. So this one is going to be show profit. Okay, so they're all gone now because my parameter has a value of blank, right? None of them, it's not equal to, my parameter is not equal to sales, so sales is hidden. My parameter is not equal to profit, so profit is hidden. My parameter is not equal to discount, so discount is hidden. All right, but we can fix that with our parameter action. So the last step here is to go up to dashboard actions. I'm going to add a change parameter action, and I'll call this one update measure names parameter. And I want to run that only on my buttons sheet. And I notice I have a scroll bar here, so make sure I go down and pick the other sheet that I don't want to use. I want to update my measure names parameter, and my source field is measure names. This is like one of the only times you can actually make the measure names. You can actually use the field measure names. You can pass the measure names field to a parameter, which is like super handy. And we'll say clearing will keep the current value. So that means, so they click on a button. Let's say I click on sales. It's going to update my parameter with the value sales. My sales sheet will show. If I unclick the sales button, I still want it to show that sales sheet. So let's click on OK. And let's click on OK again. So now if I click on discount, my discount sheet shows up. If I click off of that, it's still there. If I click on sales, it swaps out for the sales sheet. Profit swaps out for the profit sheet. Now this one, I want to now fit the entire view. Sales, discount, etc. Now, if I want to change the order of my fields that are in my for my buttons, let's go back to that sheet, and I can just rearrange them here on the measure value shelf. So if I drag sales above profit, then you'll see sales is on the left-hand side. Go back to my dashboard, and they swap around. Okay, so that is, and notice I click on these, it doesn't do anything because I haven't set up any parameter actions on these maps. Everything is controlled by these 3 buttons at the top. So you could probably picture, you could put buttons different places in the dashboard to hide different things. So for example, I've seen examples where, oops, no, wrong thing, sorry. I've seen examples where, maybe down here on the right-hand side, they have like, their kind of section of filters, and they have a button that allows them to show and hide the filters. There's just endless possibilities with what you can do with dynamic zone visibility. Okay, so that is our second example and last one. Does anybody have any questions? So this works very similar to navigation buttons. Do you prefer one over the other? Navigation buttons. I think you mean So Shweta, do you mean navigating to a different sheet? What do you mean by navigation buttons? BJ, do I use any other naming conventions? I do. So for example, let me just go to a new sheet. When I create level of detail expressions, I use very specific names. So let's say that I want to, let's see, that's not how I want to do it. Oops, wrong thing again. Is it this one? Yeah. What am I looking for here? What's the option I'm looking for? Okay, anyway, I forget what my command is here. Sorry. I'm drawing a blank here. Okay, there we go. So if I hold my command key down on my Mac, and let's say I want to write an LOD that is, sales by segment, I can just drag my sales on top of segment. Tableau gives me a new calculation down here. And if I look at that, Tableau just calls it sales segment. So I would actually call this sales by segment. So because it's an LOD, I want to be very specific with my name. So sales by segment. Or if I have a calculation that is, let's say I want to write a calculation that is profit by state and category. So I might write my fixed level of detail expression that is fixed on state and category, and then it gives me the sum of profit, and then put another mustachio on the end. But now I know this. I'm using the profit measure, and the two fields that are in my profit measure are state and category. So something like that. So that would be another kind of naming convention that I would use. I use the word set when I create a set. So for example, if I create a set on region, Tableau does this automatically for you most of the time. So it's called region set. That's fine. But if I then create a set action on my region set, I would call it update region set. So I just try to make it as easy for, I think about it as if somebody else is going to pick up the workbook. And I want them to be able to understand pretty quickly what this is doing. Okay, how many worksheets on a dashboard are too many? With dynamic zone visibility, I could see a lot of sheets. How many dashboards are too many? Well, the answer to that, Greg, is it depends. If it feels messy, it probably is messy. I don't use very many, but I don't have a hard and fast rule about how many either. But with dynamic zone visibility, you could have like 50 sheets on there and have 10 different dashboards, more or less. You could, for example, have them. You could have some kind of, maybe you have a set of buttons that are the dashboards you want to use. So you want to have a sales dashboard, a profit dashboard, a discount dashboard, a profit ratio dashboard, whatever it might be. You could have these as like a table, for example, that you just click on. Whichever one you click on, it brings up, it controls a whole different set of charts that you then, it's kind of like a set of dashboards inside of one view. I imagine that would be pretty slow, but I haven't tried it either, but that'd be an interesting use case. I think that'd be pretty cool because you're really keeping from having to create multiple dashboards in that case.
Andy, I had a real quick question for you.
Yep.
With this example here, so like I have navigation buttons that change colors so the user knows which dashboard they're on.
Yep.
Using the example here that you have, since you did that a little differently, what's the easiest way to do that?
So I would do that with, I would probably change, I think I'm just going to try to do this on the fly. So button color, wrong. So the problem here is we can't use measure names in a calculation. So I can't say, well, could I do it with my parameter maybe? I could probably, let me see. So I'm going to do it as a several calculations just to kind of think through it. So I'm going to call it sales button color. So I'm going to say my measure name parameter equals say, no, I don't even need to do that. Because I already have that calculation here. Where is it? Show sales, right? I've got this here. But if I put that onto color, it's still just going to give me 2 colors. So that's not going to help me very much.
And the way that I did it was I just had 3 different shapes, like I had them created, and then I just assign them
With
to
different colors in the
yeah.
background. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
like that's like exhausting. You have to do that a lot, and I didn't know if there's an
Yeah.
easier way to do that.
Yeah. I mean, the other way that I've seen it done is you could create like dummy headers. So if I do like the average of 0, the average of 0.0, and the average of 0.00, and then I could create a bunch of text fields. So I could call this one sales text, and it just has the word sales in it. Let's make these all shapes. And let me see if I can find my buttons. I'm pretty sure this is going to work. I'm just trying this on the fly. So if it fails miserably, then so
That's
be
all
it.
right.
So
A
let's get rid
good
of that.
tutorial, Andy. This is going to be a good tutorial.
So on my first shape, I want to put sales text onto the label. So let me go here, labels, center and center. Okay. And then I want to create another one called profit text. And I'll just put the word profit here. I mean, this is like, it's a lot of work to do this. So let's put that on label. And then we could go to the third one and let's create a calculated field. Let's call it discount text. And here I want to say just the word discount. And this is all just for getting the words on there. These don't actually do anything. I would clean up the backgrounds and all of that as well. So, go here to your tooltip and turn them all off. Right, so it looks a bit better. And now what I would do here on this first one is, since that's my sales, I would put show sales on color. And then on profit, I would say show profit on color. And then here, I want to put show discount on color. And they're all blue right now. You see the show discount is true. So let's say that we want to leave, what color do you want it to be for the one that's selected?
It doesn't matter.
Well, that doesn't answer my question.
It can be gray. It can be a lighter green. Just
okay, so I'm going to leave it blue because I don't like your answer. So
or just white.
So I'll make this. I'll make the ones that are false. I'll make those. Maybe let's just make them yellow so it's a bit more obvious. Let's make that yellow. Oops. And then my true is blue. So now I need to go kind of back and forth to my dashboard. So I need to click on sales now, and then go back to the sheet and show discount. I need to make that. And then if I go to profit, then so I think that's all done, right? I think that's all of them done. Now the problem is if I use this in the dashboard, I have to set up 3 different parameter actions to get it to work. Do you want me to?
No.
Do you want me to show that? No.
No, don't worry about it because it's not part of the topic. But that gives an idea of how difficult it might be.
Let me just stick it in here because now you'll be able to see how it changes as we go through.
Yeah. Yeah, but the way it highlights, like in the version that you have, everything else is grayed out in that header, so you can obviously tell which tab you're on.
Yeah,
so that makes sense.
But as soon as you click off of it, you don't really know which one you're on anymore, right? Because now they're all gray. Yeah.
I think we have one last question. I've created a bar chart drill down with set action. Doesn't play nice with adding subtotals. Could DZV be the solution to that, or would you try to put that in a container above the view?
I created a bar chart drill down with set actions. but it doesn't play nice with adding subtotals. Could dynamic zone visibility be a solve for this, or would you try to add totals in a container above the visit? So it depends on like what kind of totals so are your totals at the your totals then are going to be at the, I guess, category level. Let's say it's category and then subcategory. So yeah, it gets it. So dynamic zone visibility would be a way to solve that. So for people that don't understand the question, so I'm going to create a set on category. Let me just pick furniture. And I'm going to have category here. Oops. Yeah, that's fine. And then let's call this category to subcategory. So I'm going to say something like if category set, then subcategory, and everything else will be blank. So there we go. So that should split out furniture. Oh, but these are null. So I actually need this to say else blank. And let's just put more sales here. And I think what you're saying then, who is it that asked the question? It's Tracy. Let me just sort for one. And then let me sort this one as well. Okay, so if I turn on my subtotals, then I get the double bar here. I think that's the one that you're referring to. Is that right, Tracy? I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, I've seen workarounds for that. I mean, dynamic zone visibility is going to be a lot of work, because if you have like, let's say you've got like 15 categories, you'd have to probably create like one chart that has just the category level, and then I wouldn't do it that way. I have seen other people do it, because I think so let me ask a question again. So you want probably, I'm guessing, you want the total for furniture to show, but not the total for technology and office supplies. Is that right? I think. Yes. Okay. So how could we get around that? We could, let me see. I'm going to try this on, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but let's put, where is my category? Where'd my category set go? So if I put that on color, and if I change the out, yeah, I can see I can't control the color of the bar for just the total. Okay, so that's not going to work. I have seen it done, Tracy. I don't remember how though. I think you have to do something with the. Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head. I think there's a Workout Wednesday that does it actually, but I don't remember. I don't remember which one. But if you ever look through the Workout Wednesday website, you'll probably find it. So sorry, I don't have the answer off the top of my head. It is possible though. I've seen it done.
Emil, you said you had a question?
Yeah, Aaron, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
Okay, so Andy, thank you for being here. Our user group, we always wanted, this for years and years to have you here. Super excited. Really appreciate everything that you do for the community. Absolutely everything. Super fans. I mean, I know Aaron and I we're super fans of you. I mean, how many times I have looked at your videos to learn something new or like to figure out something? It's just so many times. I mean, you have no idea. I mean, I cannot tell you 100 times because it will be a lie. So many times. But one of the things that I was wondering, I'm as a consultant, many times, clients come into us and say, "Hey, how can I do a better job with role level security?" Specifically, let's say that a client wants to show in the dashboard, okay, if I am logging as a manager and I want to see these filters, and I want to show these filters to a manager, this charts. And if somebody is logging in as an analyst or maybe an executive, I wanted to show them some different charts or maybe some different filters. Will dynamic zone visibility, do you think it's a good idea to use that to accomplish some of that ask sometimes, or that use case?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, that would work.
Mhm.
It would. It feels like it would give you a bit more flexibility to do it that way. Actually,
Mhm.
uh, I would. Yeah, I would be tempted to give it a try. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I think it would be awesome. You know, for example, we have a client who has division managers, store managers. They also have, people from the store, like they're not the real manager, but they're like salespeople, and they want a dashboard where they can see different filters, right? So I just
Yeah.
think it could work to show them different filters. I noticed in your tutorial you were saying, that you're using parameters and things like that, but you can probably hide filters too, right? Like hide a filter and bring a
Yep.
filter a
Yep.
different one. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Definitely.
Awesome. Thank you.
I think that's all the questions we had.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, back over to you, I guess, right?
Anything else you want to finish with? Anything else you want to promote? Feel free to let us
Oh
know.
gosh, what else do I want to promote? Yeah, I mean, again, oh yeah, I actually wasn't done with the slides. Sorry, because I wanted to give a couple of examples for people to follow along. So again, I put the link to the slides in the in the chat, but a couple other examples for you. I put 3 more in here. This is one I did. So this is a 3-level drill down that goes from year to month to day level, and it filters along the way as well. This is a 4-level drill down on a map. So we did a 2-level drill down in this example, but you can do 4-level with dynamic zone visibility. And then the last one, this one was actually quite tough to build, but it's a really fun workout Wednesday that allows you to you're creating like, kind of a quadrant of KPIs. And then each one you click on, it gives you a different bar chart. So, but again, once you kind of get the concept of what dynamic zone visibility does, it kind of really opens up a lot of possibilities for you. And I think, so in the comments, real quick, well, anybody might have any, I guess you need to think about who you're going to give an award to as well. So in the comments, what did you like best? And meanwhile, Aaron can start to think about who he wants to give a prize to. How many prizes are there?
So we give out 4 gift cards to the Tableau store.
Oh, nice. And how many people are on? 53. Okay, so you've got, well, can you give one to yourself?
No.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's in the Tug Leader rule book.
Okay,
That's
great.
right.
Yeah.
No, we have like 76, Andy, when we started, like probably 86 or 76.
Yeah. But they have
So
one here at the end. Yeah.
that's correct.
Again, if somebody could in the chat leave something specific, and then maybe Aaron, you could pick from the list of the ones that you like best from there. But if they just say great session, that doesn't really tell us anything specific about what they liked best, right?
Yeah, they could have just like come back to their computer and been like, "Oh, I'm still on. Oh, great session, guys."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like when at the beginning when we heard the person on talking on the phone, it's like clearly they're not paying attention.
Yeah.
So when I run sessions, I usually require people to have their cameras on because then it kind of forces them to pay a bit more attention.
Yeah, I think
All right, so the wash. So let's see, what do we have here? Naming conventions, the washout. Let me go back up a bit. What else do we have? The use of actions to modify parameters. I did it live. Okay, floating. Let's.
Which one do you like best, Aaron? I like the buttons. For me, the buttons that change the different charts, because it could be cool to have then that adapted to, hey, let me see different dashboards or something, easy to adapt to other things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody likes the washout. The naming conventions, process, parameter actions, washout, buttons, naming conventions, tooltips, not equals, changing sheets based on buttons. Okay, not editing tooltips. Okay, it looks like so people are actually leaving comments now. So isn't that funny how once you offer swag, people start leaving comments.
How else would we know that they're still here?
Yeah, good point. So you can't win if you don't leave a comment, right?
Oh, that's a good idea. We'll have to implement that going forward.
Yeah, and I'm having trouble scrolling through the comments too. I don't know why. That's quite
Yeah, I
annoying.
think Bevy records the comments. So
Okay.
what I'll do is I'll take those that have made any of these comments, and I'll randomly draw with the way that we usually do
Okay.
it.
Yeah, and Jack liked the shortcut I showed that had nothing to do with the presentation, so that's good.
That's even
Jack,
the
that's good.
washout part was like, that's not a dynamic zone visibility, but everybody was like, "What? You can do that?" So that was good.
Well, I mean, it's like such a time saver, right? That didn't used to be there, so
I have one last question for you, and it's unrelated. You're the only
yeah.
person that I know that uses the LOD phrase mustachio. Have you trademarked that yet? Or is that the actual name of
I
it?
really, it actually came from a math professor. So I studied math in university, and he used to use that when he was teaching us calculus. Was it calculus? I don't know. One of the classes he taught us, he called it a mustachio because if you turn it sideways, it looks like a mustache.
Mhm.
And you don't forget what it is once you call it a mustachio.
Yeah.
Because some people call it a curly bracket, some people call it a squiggly bracket, but if you call it a mustachio, it's only one thing.
That's great. You should trademark that, and then if anybody uses it, you get a little commission on it.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That's a good idea. All
All
right.
right, that's all I
I
had.
think
Everybody, I'll draw the names for the swag winners once I download the chat log. I've shared in the chat here as well where the recording will be found. Andy, I'll add your link to the Figma presentation to that landing page in here in
yeah.
Bevy so that everybody has access to that as well.
Okay.
And that's it. Have
Yeah. And if
a
anybody
great.
has any questions about the membership program or anything, just shoot me a message on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to answer anything you have. But great value for the money, I think.
Yep.
So
All right.
all right.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Everybody
Okay.
have a great
Take care.
Christmas,
Thank you. All
holidays. Have a great 2024. We'll see you next time.
right. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Same. Thank you so much.